Trinidad and Tobago, just wanted to address the issue of the landlords and rental payments. I have been asked by numerous clients and even some of the news reporters who have stories to do to give my take on it. Now, in relation to what the government has requested, they've asked that landlords be lenient with tenants, and we need to understand that that's not a legal imposition. It's not something that can be legally enforced. It's basically a request for landlords to have a heart in the circumstances. But we also need to balance that with the fact that, look, there are landlords who have their mortgages to pay, they have their expenses to run their property, so they have to do their maintenance on the property. So therefore, you can't expect in all circumstances that landlords could simply say, well, look, there's no rent to be paid at all because of the current scenario. You may also have some circumstances whereby some tenants may have been delinquent for several months, in some cases even years, and then now they're using this present COVID-19 crisis to say, well, I can't pay rent. But the thing is, when the landlord assesses the scenario, he may say, but look, this is someone who has not been paying rent all these years or all these months, so therefore I can't accept that this has anything to do with COVID-19. So therefore, in those circumstances, we have to be careful not to rush to judgment of persons in each particular situation, as each scenario may turn on its own particular facts. What we can ask, though, is for landlords to, exercise some degree of compassion. Of course, they would have to assess the tenants they have, because normally, if you are a landlord and you have a very good paying tenant who respects your property, treats it well and stuff like that, and they've run into difficulties because of this present COVID-19 scenario, you may then say, well, look, this is a tenant I want to keep, so therefore I will work with the tenant and make some arrangement, to allow them to be able to stay by maybe paying half month's rent or something of the sort. But the thing is, it may be a scenario where a tenant has been repeatedly delinquent. And I mean, we've seen a couple scenarios that clients have referred to us where tenants have been delinquent for years, and then all of a sudden they're now saying, well, because of COVID-19, I can't pay rent. But for the past several months, since going into last year or the year before, you weren't paying rent. So therefore, it has nothing to do with COVID-19 in such a circumstance. We need to understand also the difference in terms of a commercial lease. Now, commercial leases are usually just simply driven by market forces. So therefore, whilst you may have scenarios where in the malls, some of the tenants may say, well, look, it's harsh and it's oppressive and it's unfair. And I know some of the mall managements have tried to make arrangements for tenants to be able to either pay half a month's rent or whatever. And some of these tenants are still saying, well, look, why should I even be paying half a month's rent if the mall is closed and I can't have any business, I can't have any sales whatsoever. But the point is, in those circumstances, it's really driven by market forces, and if the landlord insists that they want their rent, there's practically nothing the tenant can do in those commercial situations, and not even the government can mandate to a commercial tenant what the situation with their landlord ought to be. So we need to bear in mind these factors and understand that it's a balancing act, and it's really an appeal to humanity and compassion. It's not something that's legally enforceable when the government asks a landlord to give tenants a break or some kind of relief or ease up on rent. It's not something that a tenant can legally enforce in any court of law. It's really just an appeal to the humanity. So therefore, we need to try to approach it from that perspective and not seek to say, well, look, the government has said you have to give me a break. No, the landlord doesn't have to, right? The landlord could consider your situation, should consider your situation, but just remember, it's a situation where you both have to try to engage in some discussion, dialogue, and negotiation to arrive at some amicable resolution. Thank you.